Welcome to another episode of How Morbid is the Los Angeles Unified School District.
Tales from the Los Angeles Unified School District.
So some of you guys know that one of my new hobbies is browsing the Los Angeles Unified School District for very manipulative, whacked videos. And no surprise, I found one. So today, we're going to witness the opening address of the school year. Last week was the first week of school, and this is how they started it off. By the way, someone made a comment and said the logo looks very similar to your design of the mind. And I was like, wow, that's actually a very interesting observation. I did not notice that. Right? It actually kind of does. So if we just kind of turn it around a few times. So we got the conscious mind up here at the top. We have the critical factor that the school is going to write into the student's mind. And then we have the subconscious that has different compartmentalizations going on. And this is something that the school actually does and that the news does, where they make you think of an idea in a certain way with a certain feeling. And so when you come across someone, like, for example, who asks a question that goes against the mainstream narrative, conspiracy theorist, right? Anything that goes into that questioning of the science and what the experts say, you literally have a preconceived idea in a feeling with a set response, compartmentalizing how you actually think beyond you critically thinking. I thought that was a very interesting observation. The symbolism is everywhere. All right, we're getting used to seeing the kids with the muzzles on, and even we got the thumbs up. It's okay, friends. It's okay, kids. Look at, I'm okay. You can be okay.
We are honored to be here today and would like to take the opportunity to thank everyone, and especially our school leaders, our principals, assistant principals.
I think a lot of us have seen this lady before, right? She is a health director, apparently. I'm going to do a background check in her in a little bit, but I want us to watch this presentation first.
Principals, teachers, nurses, and all in the Los Angeles Unified family who have guided school communities with grace, strength.
We noticed right away, I hope you do, that she's reading off of a cue card or a teleprompter. I'll just give the spoiler right off the bat. All of these people in this presentation, and we're not going to go through the whole thing. I'm not going to bore you. I'm going to point out the important points of what they're doing here and the ridiculously manipulative things that we're doing. Now listen, I joke around a little bit, bring some little bit of comedy relief with this really serious stuff, but it's honestly, this is very mortifying.
Compassion and fortitude in these most challenging of times.
Now, what does this look like to you? Is this not exactly like a funeral? If you're not convinced yet, just wait and see.
Thank you for your tireless service and commitment to the students, families, and communities of Los Angeles Unified.
I think every parent deserves to know who wrote all these scripts and who put these presentations together, because it's someone like me that knows these tactics.
Equality education. Together, we support each other in protecting, serving, and uplifting our community.
Let us now take a moment to remember and honor those we've lost during the last year. Members of our Los Angeles Unified family, cherished friends and relatives of the Los Angeles Unified community, friends and neighbors in our communities of schools. In this moment of reflection, may we also remember that together we can rise and move mountains.
All right, let's dim the lights a little bit. A moment of silence. There's a hypnotic aspect to a moment of silence, because now we just put a mood in front of you. We just give you some ideas. We're showing you this funeral wreath thing, now in remembrance of all the people who passed away from the COVID. And now we're going to allow you have a moment of silence to contemplate what we're doing in front of you so it sinks deeper into your mind. Look at this right here. So notice, during this moment of silence, they're focusing on the funeral wreath, right? So we just had the speech from the principal to give our grievances and a moment of silence to remember those who passed away in the hospital under their care. And so the feeling of death and grieving is now being anchored into the wreath. You know, I talked about this anchoring concept before, how they put the anchor of love into the daily pass.
I love you so much.
Bam! Anchor in the love. You are hypnotized, kids. You don't have to have all these animations and special effects to do anchoring. All you need to do is have the feeling and a focus point. And those start to have the association. Now, I want you to notice what happens to the wreath and what they do to it to manipulate people throughout the rest of this presentation. By the way, this is a long moment of silence. Heavy focus on the wreath. Okay. Now we're going to play like a funeral song. And what better way to do it than have a student sing the song? Now, I'm not going to knock the student. She does a really great job, honestly, and I think she's an amazing singer, and I will applaud her for the performance. But you got to know that this song was placed here at a specific time and with a specific feeling, okay? Honestly, I would like to interview this girl and get her take on what happened behind the scenes, who chose the song, and all that. If anybody knows that information, please let me know. Comments below or find me on social media and send me a message.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round.
By the way, I'm not knocking anyone who passed away recently. You know, it's a very tragic thing. But you got to notice, where did they die? Where did they pass away? Who was in their presence? And did they give you all the information? And did you ask all the information of what exactly happened? Because I guarantee from what I've learned from insiders, it's...
And I'll do it 1,000 times.
Remember, don't allow yourself to get wrapped up in the feeling of what they're trying to get you to feel, because it's easy to. We got a singer who's amazing playing this type of heartfelt song, and it can easily draw you in to the performance, right? Remember, there's people backstage, there's a cameraman, there's a director, there's a teleprompter. This is a whole organized performance.
For you.
So good.
Good morning, Los Angeles Unified. My name is Michaela Pereira, and I'm so...
All right. There's a couple things going on here. There's a few things happening, actually. So what did they do with the funeral wreath? Okay, so after we anchored in the feeling of grieving and death, we're now going to put the funeral wreath right on the side of the podium the whole time, so you have the reminder, if you're not going to be safe and you don't follow the medical protocols that all these CEOs want you to do because they're going to make billions and trillions of dollars off of you, you may die. That's the underlying message that is not being said, right? That's very deceptive. It's a subconscious thing. It's real, right? I hope you guys get this. All right, second, Michaela Pereira. We're going to do a quick background check on her, and that's going to blow your mind. The third thing, what is her title here? Mistress of Ceremony. Mistress. You know, I've never heard that term, that title before in some kind of school assembly or a school presentation. What kind of impression do you get with the word mistress? You know, your husband is out with the Mistress of Ceremony. What kind of image does that give you? right? See, this isn't a direct suggestion. It's something that implies a feeling that all of us have with a word. All right, next, Michaela Pereira. Who is she? By the way, she's a world-class expert at reading a teleprompter, let me tell you. How do I know that? Well, she used to work at CNN alongside Chris Como. Interesting. So what else about her? There's her with Chris and some of the TV team, I guess. She joined CNN after working with numerous news networks. So what kind of past work has she done? Well, here I found a clip of her pulling at the emotions of a recently widowed woman.
Do you still hold out hope that your partner, Philip, the love of your life, is still alive?
Well, I know it sounds crazy.
Such a fake little reaction.
Well, I know it sounds crazy, especially for somebody as logical as me, but you know, in the absence of a body, in the absence of even confirmation of a crash, how do you not hold out hope?
Unfortunately, there wasn't much footage I could find of that segment. That's all I could see here. So after seeing that, I'm like, okay, we're dealing with a woman who has zero heart and is obviously part of a propaganda organization. Let's see what else I found her saying on camera. So here she's being interviewed by a reporter, and the reporter wants to know more about her and how she's a successful person and what she did to get there. Listen to what she says.
Having a blast.
We are.
So
we're having a really good show.
What got you started?
Wow, where do I start? I've been in the business for, do I actually tell you or should I lie?
Should you lie, Michaela? I think you're gonna lie.
I've been doing this for about 15 years.
I'm curious myself.
Are you?
You can lie and tell me.
Okay, I'll lie and tell you. Okay, I'll lie and tell you. Okay, I'll lie and tell you. I started about 15 years ago.
All right, she's gonna lie and tell us. Great. You know, you ask any professional, how did you get started? What did you do to get started? You know, usually their face lights up and they have a great story to tell. Like when someone asks me, how'd you get started in hypnosis? I'll be like, wow, you know what? I had an emotional issue and I found a self-hypnosis book. I healed myself and I was able to go up to the person who created trauma with me and I was able to forgive them and move on and have a relationship with them and everything was fine after that. Wow, really? Hypnosis worked for you? Yeah, and then I started doing it with other people and I started noticing crazy stuff and I learned, and learned everything about it. It's not, Michael, how did you learn to become a hypnotist? I don't know. Should I lie to you? Any real person would never say that. It's obviously confronting what the real thing is and then covering it up in front of you. It's the best way to do it. She is a professional at this, right? She worked for CNN.
So proud to be here with you. You may know me from Good Day LA on Channel 11. Honored to be your Mistress of Ceremonies today for the Welcome Back to School opening address.
So, Mistress of Ceremonies. In case anybody is not getting it, let's look up the word mistress. Mistress, lover, female who is in an extramarital sexual relationship. Did they really have to use the word mistress here? I mean, aren't there like young kids watching this and you're going to say the word mistress of ceremony and you're going to introduce that idea to them? That is just wrong.
We're coming to you virtually from James A. Garfield Senior High School. Go Bulldogs.
Okay, she's going to continue reading a teleprompted script, and I have no interest in listening to what she has to say. What amazing thing is going to happen next?
To ensure LA's children receive the very best education each and every one of them deserve. Now, please join me in welcoming the Garfield High School Color Guard for the presentation of colors.
Presentation of colors. Introduce some diversity that seems nice, but really we're going to bring some guys with guns on the stage, not to threaten you to follow directions or anything. You know, in my point of view, that's kind of like having a police officer at the entrance of the school, making sure you follow directions. It's not a direct threat, but when a guy with a gun is standing right there, little Johnny, who might want to run around, is going to second guess it. And guess what? Just like when a teacher says, stop running, now walk in the hallway, and he never runs in the hallway again because he knows he's going to get in trouble. His behavior has changed. He has been programmed, successfully hypnotized.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, indivisible, with liberty
And it's basically just follow and do what you're told. You're now in the military.
and justice for all. Thank you.
You see the formation. You have military in the front, students in the back, basically giving you the image that you're kind of following along in school just like the military. And they want you to follow along. You know, my first hypnosis teacher used to be in the military, and he used to give these analogies of how being in the military and being conditioned is very similar to being hypnotized. It's so true because they get you to follow directions, which changes your behavior. You know, when people come out of the Army, the Navy, the military, they're much different people after that, aren't they? I mean, they are the same person, but they're just more conditioned. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. But it is a conditioning.
Della, that was simply amazing. Thank you so much for serving as an inspiration to all of us.
Della, that was simply amazing. This lady should be able to read the teleprompter a little bit better than that, right?
Speaking of inspirational, it is now my absolute pleasure to...
This is an absolute pleasure.
Please welcome Los Angeles Unified Board President Kelly Gonez.
Hello and welcome back to our administrators and our entire...
All right, Kelly Gonez. She looks like a nice young lady, right? She looks like a teacher that I would want to have my kids being taught by. But let's actually look at her background. I mean, we'll pull up her bio right on the school site. Kelly was appointed by President Obama to serve as an education policy advisor in his administration. She secured over $50 million in additional education funding while leading the Obama administration's advocacy to increase education funding and support for populations, blah, 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 all these words that make it sound so great. So here we have another connection to the Obama administration. Big surprise?
On behalf of the Board of Education, I want to start by thanking each and every single one of you for the dedication.
She's not even speaking her own words. It's 100% BS. None of them are speaking from their own experience. None of them are speaking from their heart. They're just reading like a newscaster gets a script, and that same script gets put across all of the nation so everyone's reading the same thing.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
When people see a hypnosis show and they meet a hypnotist, usually it's very intriguing, right? Like, oh, you're a hypnotist, you know, you can do all this crazy stuff. But honestly, I could literally take somebody, have them memorize something, go up on stage and hypnotize everybody. It's really not that hard. To get to the level that I'm at where I actually understand it very deeply takes a lot of experience. But it doesn't mean that somebody can just like do it very easily, which is why just handing a script to a newscaster to read can be extremely effective, especially if they have a team behind the scenes knowing exactly what they're doing. And it's actually kind of better that way because the newscaster has no clue what they're actually doing. And the people behind the scenes control everything while nobody even knows it's happening.
Thank you so much.
Our thanks to Board President Gonez. And now I'd like to invite to the stage a very...
And it's so fake. How do people learn? How do kids learn? It's really monkey see, monkey do. You know, it's kind of like, I remember hearing from my parents, like, don't do what I do what I say. You know, and as much as you try to, like, not do what they do, you literally can't not do what they do because that's what you're observing. That's what you pick up. That's what you notice as, okay, that's what human behavior is. What I see you do is what I'm going to do. Not only is it detrimental to have these people talking BS into our kids, but we're literally having our kids emulate crooked people.
Our interim superintendent. In a word, fierce. Please join me in welcoming interim superintendent Megan K. Reiley.
We can go to her LinkedIn page. We see that she has a doctor in law and a BS in science. She's mainly focused on law and money. So Megan, who's been a top financial officer, is now leading your kids. Do you start to notice what's going on here? It's not like she's a teacher and she studied kids and she studied behavior of children and how to be happy and how to learn. No. Her main focus is business. This is the LA school district has $13 billion as a budget this year. Any kind of business owner looks at that and go, wow, I got $13 billion. Well, I'm going to hire my friend here and I'm going to hire my friend here. Maybe I can start a company and then hire my company to do it for $1 billion. And then Reiley came to the LA Unified School District in 2007 after 2 decades as working as a top business official for the U.S. Navy. She is a business professional from the government. Does it get better than that? She's also a licensed attorney and a member of the state bar. Okay. So she knows how to run policies and she knows how to run business. And now she's going to address your children and tell them what to do. And there's no financial attachment to that. Hey, I'm sure we need some business people in the school district to take care of the finances and stuff like that. But let the business people stay in the business offices. They don't need to be addressing our children unless there's some kind of financial incentive somewhere.
Good morning. And today is good on so many levels.
How is it so good? You know, it makes me even more skeptical when I see so many smiles and laughing. This is such a great time. Didn't this ceremony open like a funeral? If that was the case, I don't think she'd be so happy and, yeah, look we're back at school.
Talented students. I wish we could all be together in person, but frankly, this feels right.
Yeah, it probably does feel right when you got trillions on the way.
Thank you, Board President Gomez, board members, Dr. Eduardo, Dr. Ferrer, and all of our special guests.
Oh yeah, Dr. Pereira, Miss Poltergeist Crypt Keeper, Barbara Ferreira. Okay, a lot of us have seen this lady, and a lot of us look at this lady like, she's a woman of death walking around, and she leads the Department of Public Health. I don't know if you guys know about her and what her background is, but I think we'll be able to tell why she looks so sickly, as if she's like doing the deed of the devil and it's sucking the life out of her. Oh, by the way, I made this graphic like an hour ago for my Facebook cover photo. All I'm doing is pulling the curtain and showing that the big and great powerful Oz is just an old guy telling people what to do. All right, so Barbara Ferreira. Well, I searched her on Wikipedia. She has nothing there. So up until last week, I assumed she was a medical doctor. Didn't you? Right? She's the director of public health. I mean, it must be a doctor, right? Because they call her a doctor. Nope. She holds a PhD in social welfare and a master's in public health, which is not the same as learning medical procedures or medicine like a doctor does. No medical experience. Apparently she's being paid over $500,000 a year to stand up on stage and stand up at the podiums and tell you what to do, putting policies in place for you, but really for them, that you have to follow. Net worth, $13 million. Yep, and someone agrees she looks like the Reverend from the Poltergeist. Kind of makes me think, when you sell your soul for a lot of money and you do the devil's deeds, it must just suck the life right out of you. Here I found a department head salaries paper from this year, and we can find Dr. Barbara Ferreira. Yes, she does in fact get paid $465,000 a year, not including her bonuses and all that other stuff too. Here we have the Chief Executive Office appointment for her salary and relocation reimbursement here, right? So here's an example here. Her first year, she was paid $376,000 plus an extra, $25,000 for reasonable actual costs of relocating the family. She must have a lot of stuff. And look, just as an example, if you just go down the rabbit hole and just search all these names, Sachi Hamai Well, I look up her name and I find this was the CEO given a $1.5 million golden handshake. Sachi Hamai, by her attorney, proposed a settlement in the amount of $1.5 million to be paid to Sachi for her departure as CEO. So the sheriff thinks that this is an illegal gift of public funds, right? For someone who earned almost $700,000 in salary and benefits, is going to get a $1.5 million check just to get out of her position. Your tax dollars, LA. And so that's just a little snapshot of behind the scenes of these people. It's like any name I search having to do with any of these people, it ends up being some ridiculous scam in every single corner and pocket of the LA school system, the government. Are you guys surprised? I don't know. Probably not. What can you do with this information? Get your freaking kids out of school, man. And stop believing the BS that they feed us. There's nothing that they say is truthful. It's all a big deception. Sorry, I don't want to believe it either, but I can't find anything otherwise. I mean, if you can find any information that can prove me wrong, please prove me wrong. I don't want to believe this stuff, man. Put it in the comment section. I will celebrate you if you can prove me wrong in any of this stuff, okay? I won't make fun of you. I will be glad if you can prove me wrong. I'm pretty sure you're not gonna, because it's so obvious.
The Los Angeles Unified Family, who have guided school communities with grace.
Words, letters, script, speech, blah, blah, blah. That's all I hear.
What's really interesting, though, is that...
What's really interesting, next line, though...
My mother was a toddler in Japan.
All right, I'm not going to listen to more of her scripted speech. So this lady talks for 20 minutes straight, and it's just straight garbage.
If we make it so, if we take this moment, thank you.
You are not welcome.
Thank you, Interim Superintendent Reiley. I'd like to present a dance ensemble performing to Born to be Brave.
Yep, born to be brave and follow all of our directives. You know, it's almost like they put like, yeah, kids, be brave, but do what we tell you. I think bravery is speaking your truth, speaking up, do some research, stepping up to people who you don't agree with. That is bravery. Not following directives. That's not bravery. It's always like this double speak kind of thing, so they make you think you're doing one thing, but it's actually completely opposite.
Truly amazing, the Van Nuys Dance Ensemble performing Born to be Brave. And how
it was a good performance, I will admit. All these student performances were really top-notch, but it's manipulative.
Our gratitude to the staff here at Garfield High School. Go Bulldogs! And thanks to our event sponsor, the California Credit Union.
They're making some big bank on them.
Welcome back on board.
All right, now let's accustom you to what it's going to be like when you come to school and you got to wear your face coverings all the time.
Welcome back to Friends.
Look at the new normal. Your face mask is not a petri dish.
Welcome back to recess.
You're not going to faint when you run around the track with the face mask on like that girl did.
Welcome back to sports.
Welcome back to school!
Don't need to think. Just do what you're told. So, what do you think school does in creating your critical factor? If I wanted to hypnotize the nation, okay, as a hypnotist, this is what I would do. First off, to hypnotize someone, I need to get the information through their conscious mind and into the subconscious mind by bypassing and getting past the critical factor, right? The critical factor is the gateway into your subconscious mind. So whether you have just a simple barbed wire fence going into your subconscious mind, or you have a moat with a drawbridge, it's going to be different as to how easy it is for me to get an idea into your property. So what would be the easiest way for me to hypnotize the whole entire nation? I would train you to have a very weak critical factor. How do you train someone to have a really weak critical factor? First, instead of coming to your own conclusions about things, I would have you just regurgitate answers. I would tell you facts, and then you write down those facts on your test and just regurgitate the answers. You don't ever check the references on the history book, do you? No, you just regurgitate. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and he discovered America. I'm pretty sure that this country had people all over it before then, and they came over and massacred all the natives. See, that's not in the history book. And some of you are going to, really? That's not really what happened. Okay, well, if you aren't even going to consider the information and verify it yourself, you have a weak critical factor. I'm sorry, we all were taught to have a weak critical factor. So I would have you regurgitate information instead of coming to your own conclusions. Second, I would have you follow orders without thinking about it, right? Mainly through threats and coercion. Because if you don't go to class, I'm going to give you detention. I'm going to send you to the principal's office. I'm going to suspend you. I am going to humiliate you in front of the class. I'm going to have you sit in the back and face the corner. I'm going to have you write what you did on the chalkboard 50 times, right? I'm going to make you do what I tell you to do without you thinking about it. So then, what do? You go to college without thinking about it. You go to your job without thinking about it. You do what your boss tells you without thinking about it. You see the pattern? And 3, I would make you do these 2 things so often while your brain is developing, so it's hardwired into you. So you have hardwired neural pathways and neural nets that all connect together that enable you to just accept information and do what you're told. See, that's a very, very weak critical factor. And so as a hypnotist, it's very easy for me to go on the news and do my hocus pocus hypnotic tricks, manipulate your emotions, and bam. You do what I tell you. You believe everything I say, right? That's what I would do if I wanted to hypnotize a nation. And guess what? It works extremely well now that we're seeing everyone in this zombified state that can't seem to even look at any facts whatsoever, even when thousands of doctors come out and try to tell you what's going on. You won't believe it because you have this compartmentalization in your mind that once you get an idea that looks like it's going against the mainstream narrative, conspiracy theorist! Ah! Did you come up with that conclusion on your own? Or are you just blindly accepting suggestion because, listen, for me to introduce the idea that your critical factor is weak, I know that's not an easy thing to accept. But guess what? My critical factor was extremely weak too. I used to follow these directives as well. But I ended up, by the grace of God, finding real information about psychology that actually really works. So I had a career in psychological manipulation at the highest level, making entertainment with it, right? See, I've tried to put this information out and share with my friends and family and my followers for a real long time. But it's always been so hard to see how deeply hypnotized everyone was when you're not a trained professional in it. But now, as we see the mainstream media coming from all angles to suggest all these things that we don't agree with, now it's becoming very obvious. So what's the conclusion here? Well, I'm not going to tell you what to do, right? You come to your own conclusion. I know what I would do if I had a kid, right? I would take them out of these schools. And guess what? There's a lot of teachers being fired right now because they're not getting their forced medical procedures. So there's a lot of unemployed teachers right now. I talk to them. They email me. They are in the comments section talking about this. All we have to do is unify in a small community in our area, find some available teachers, pull together a couple $100 a month, and guess what? You can homeschool your kids. Right? And instead of having them learn algebra and all this weird stuff, why don't we bring in a tax expert and have the kids learn how to do their taxes when they get old enough to understand that stuff? Right? Let's take out the ridiculousness of the subjects we never used that just wasted our time and crumbled our critical factor. And let's bring people who know what they're doing and they got something real with real results and teach the kids those things. Really, this could be the best situation that ever happened for the future of our kids if we take advantage of it. There's a lot of people. Listen, all you got to do is you can search on Facebook groups, right? Search on Craigslist, search online. There's homeschooling groups everywhere. And now that this kind of stuff is rolling out, they are popping up and being built as we speak right now. Now is the best chance to give your kid the best education that you know they were never going to get, because now you get to choose. Isn't that pretty cool? Out of every disaster comes the seed of opportunity. Will you water and fertilize it? That's up to you. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'll keep on dropping good knowledge for you guys.